Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another episode of Little Modular. Today, we will take a look at those two slick modules by JORANALOGUE, Belgian company that I have reviewed many times before. These are quite simple yet very useful modules that I find indispensable. They are called RX2 and TX2, which is short for receive to and transmit to. And this video won't be too long because these modules do not process or generate sound, or they do not have anything to do with CV manipulation. These are just transmitting the sound in and out of your modular system. So the RX2 is receiving signals, so it's meant for the signals from outside of the modular system coming into your system. So you can connect here some guitars, keyboards, microphones. It has a built-in preamp. And this one, transmit to, is meant to go the other way. So it transmits the signals from your modular system to the outside world. Now you might ask, why on earth would I need such modules? They cost money, they take place, and I could do without them, right? Well, theoretically, yes, you could, but there are some certain pitfalls and problems with that. Because you have to remember that the modular signals are way hotter than the traditional studio signals. So if you want to use them in conjunction with some outside world, you need to compensate for that difference. So if you want to bring something into the modular, then you would need to amplify it a lot. So you need a clean gain. And the other way, if you want to use the modular signals with some studio stuff, you need to attenuate it. You can say, well, I can use some adapters, an attenuator, and a preamplifier, and I'll be fine. Well, yeah, you could do that. And in the studio reality, it's doable, although in my opinion, a bit clunky and still problematic. This is all fine, really neat, small, and compact solution. But you could do that. But the problems really start to cripple when you are outside playing live gigs, because then you have to factor in many uncertain things, like the power grid that you don't know, so there might be some ground loops, some radio interferences, all kinds of problematic stuff. These modules have built-in radio interferences, filters. They deal with the ground loops, minimize them as much as possible. RX2 has a pristine preamps built in, which gives you 40 dB of ultra clean gain, and you have balanced ins and outs. So that's the studio standard and the highest possible quality, ensuring you that the signal won't be susceptible to any interferences. So I have lived without that, and I was okay, but it was much more clunkier and problematic. I also have some different solutions. I bought some depth-fur interfaces that let you do the similar things. I have Samara, I used to have Vermona, so I checked plenty of them. But I think JORANALOGUE is by far best of all of them, for a few reasons. First of all, it is super transparent. You won't hear it in your path. Some of the other solutions are not that transparent. They tend to colorize sound, especially in the low end. Besides, they are clunky. This is small, really, and you have 2 ins and 2 outs in such a small space. That's really something. Plus, for me, as I'm visually impaired, you have this really bright LEDs that let you see it clearly in the dimmed or dark conditions. It might be small for you, but for me, it's a biggie. Let's take a look at the front panel of each of the modules. The first one, receive to, as I mentioned, lets you to bring in the signals from outside world. It has 2 combo ins, meaning that you can connect XLR and also a standard 1/4 inch jack in both of the inputs. Then we have outputs for each of the channels, so you can just distribute the signal from here to your modular system. We have 2 gain pots and 1 really neat additional mix. It just mixes both of the incoming signals. So if you wish to do that, you don't need an extra module. It's just available here, which is really neat. The preamps, as I mentioned, are really clean. What I have here, I have connected the classical Shure SM57 microphone, and as you can see, if I crank up the reverb, I have connected this to the spring reverb. So I have this connected to different sends, and I can just, send it to different effects. This is 1-bit multi-tap delay by feedback modules. One of my favorites right there, 1, 2, 3. 40 dBs, it's not hell of a gain, so I would not recommend to connect anything like a ribbon microphone, but it will cope just fine with most of the dynamics. And as you can hear right now, I have cranked it up to 40 dB, and there is not a slightest hunch of hiss, so super transparent. That's the whole story for the RX. Let's take a look at the TX transmit. So this one transmits signals from the modular to the outside world. I have a loop prepared in here, so you can see that I have connected this to the in right here. But the cool thing is that if I connect it only to the first input, it is normalized to the second one, so you automatically get this on the other channel. So it's like a pseudo stereo. Really nice touch. Now if I connect it to the second, you can see it's only transmitting on the second channel. One thing to note, it's built like a tank. That's very important because the XLR jacks are really chunky, so you want that input to be really hefty and built properly. No wobbly inputs or anything like that. So we have two knobs here. One is for setting the level of the outgoing signal, but the second one is for the headphone out, which is right there. It will take literally any kind of headphones, regardless of the driver or the ohms on the headphones. So it will drive small iPhone headphones as well as heavy AKG 240s and anything in between. And then we have those two outputs on XLR, as I mentioned, and that's it. So to sum it up, can you live without such models? Definitely you could. But if you are planning to work with your modular outside of your studio, playing some live gigs, or you are planning to interface it with some studio gear, some machine drums, your iPhone or anything else, this in my book is indispensable. It doesn't take much place, it's transparent, and it just does its job. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, if you liked it, please like, subscribe, and spread the good word. Take care. I'll see you next time.